David Trent Todeschini coming to you from the beautiful hills of southern North Carolina, bringing you the facts behind the news and the story that contradicts the mainstream media lies, hoping to convince you that the apparency of reality is in fact entirely fabricated and the illusion only appears to be true. But in the battle for the survival of the American Republic and Western civilization, we must expose these illusions in order to bring about and nurture a greater awakening that will preserve our God-given rights and freedoms, not only for ourselves, but for our progeny and for all the future generations of human souls on this planet. We not only must plant the trees whose shade we will never live long enough to enjoy, but first we must uproot the poisonous trees we have for so long been deceived into sitting under. We are dedicated to educate and inform, and stand in the gap for all of those innocents who cannot fight for themselves. We have put on the armor of God, and stand ready with the weapons of truth to put down the lies of tyranny wherever we find them. We are the watchmen of liberty. We don't forgive, we don't forget, we are invincible, we are American patriots. To this end, and with this firm resolve, my close associates and I have sworn the oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and all Americans who share our values and wish to live free. Welcome to the most deleted, shadow banned, demonetized, censored, and trolled channel on social media. Recipient of the Patriot Warrior Purple Q Award. Hello, this is Dave from Net4Truth USA, Inglorious Patriots. It is September 8th, 2025, and the time now is 18:54 hours Eastern Time here in beautiful southern North Carolina. On the phone with me is Gary DiPietro from Digital Wildfire News. How you doing, Gary?
Oh, pretty good. Just watching all the craziness in the world going on.
That's what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks, watching all the craziness. And I just got off. I had an update on Windows, and for some reason I was getting these pop-up error messages. We can't find the file, the path, or you might not have permission, and it gives you a half of a file path that you can't copy, and doesn't tell you what's causing the error, who tried to do what. So I says, you know what, maybe I'll call Microsoft. So I pick up the phone. I had the old Microsoft number. I figured I'd get a dot hit over in India and I'd have to struggle through it. And the number is no longer in service. So I said, oh, fuck me, what the fuck am I going to do now? Because I can't stand this. And not only that, but the clipboard stopped working. For years, I've been using the clipboard from the phone to the PC and from the PC back, and that shit stopped working. So I says, what's my alternative? Well, I tried this AI shit, this stuff that Microsoft has a thing called Copilot. And you can talk to it or you can type to it. This thing took me through 2 days of troubleshooting with this, and we got it back to where it was. It took me through the registries, or the service, what do you call it? I forget what the hell they call it. System service or some shit. All the code and all. I said, how the fuck do they figure out how all this shit works? I said, this shit is beyond me. And every time I do something, every time you update, it leaves about 30 gigabytes of junk shit that my other utilities like Boost Speed and Advanced System Care and Driver Booster finds all this crap scattered all over the fucking place. And people wonder why their machines don't work after a couple of years, because they accumulated all this crap. So,
this is why I haven't done updates in years. I'm still running my little old Windows, I think it's 7 Starter Edition on my little netbooks. That and other programs. I noticed I use Opera as a browser. And a couple times when I've updated that, then you got all sorts of other stuff that you got to try and figure out.
I've been using Maxthon browser for years. Maxthon. And I will never use anything. I won't use Chrome. I won't use Opera. I got Microsoft Edge because some shit only works on Edge. But my default browser is maxed out. I've been using it for years. It's free, and it's got everything. You can do it. You've got all the settings. You can set it to do anything you want. So now I'm sitting on this Windows 11. I mean, it's nice, but it's unbelievable. Anyway, we're getting off the subject here, what we're going to talk about. I've been sitting here absorbing all of this news for the last 3 weeks, and I only did one video or 2 videos a month. And I'm telling you, man, I'm getting too old for this shit, Gary. You know what I mean? I should be out hunting, fishing, you know, camping, doing all my shit, but I'm sitting here trying to save my country for my nephews and nieces and shit. I mean, for the next generation, because if I don't do it, I think I'll be called to task. But
that's basically where I'm at. I mean, I'm 69, not that much younger than you are. And I just, anything that I do at this point isn't going to do me any good. But you worry about the next generation and the stuff that they don't know.
Well, we lived all our lives under a false democracy, or whatever you want to call it. They like to use, they don't like to use democracy, because when they say our democracy, it ain't your democracy, it ain't my democracy, it's their fucking democracy. Rules for thee, but not for me. That's their democracy. And it's plain every time you turn. Even the news now is starting to they can't help but expose this shit. They can't help it.
But the thing that's always got me is they call it a democracy, and technically it's a republic.
Yeah, but
and it says that right in our the Pledge of Allegiance thing, and yet they ignore it.
Yeah, a democracy is 2 wolves and a lamb sitting down and figuring out what the hell they're going to eat for dinner. That's a democracy. But anyway, last video I did, the Supreme Court made a ruling that effectively obliterates all gun laws since 1791.
I think that's excellent.
I mean, I don't need your fucking permission to defend my family from some scumbag who wants to come rob me or mug me or stab me on a train like that bastard did to that beautiful girl that came here to escape Ukraine.
Yeah.
This is a parallel to when I was in Vietnam. When I was in Vietnam from 70 to 71, it was safer to be in Saigon than it was to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah, you want a good example. How many months back was it we saw that thing where the people were all in church the one morning, and this nut came in with a gun?
Yeah, and they were all transgenders.
People in the church also had guns, and they took them out. All
of them were transgenders, to the point where Trump's considering saying, if you're transgender, you can't have a gun. And although I kind of agree with that, scenario, that's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope, because what other excuse they're going to come up with to keep you from having a weapon to defend yourself? And all this fucking gun laws and shit, these people don't understand. Criminals don't give a fuck about your gun rights or about your gun laws. They could care less. Because if they want a gun, they can go get it. And if you could snap your fingers and make all the fucking guns dematerialize into their constituent molecules, and there wouldn't a gun to be found anywhere, these people would stab you with a knife like that guy did on the train in Charlotte. Just walk up behind you for no fucking reason and just cut you to pieces. So it's not the guns that are the problem. The guns are the solution, because if everybody had a gun, even a crazy motherfucker would say, hey, this person might fucking air me the fuck out.
Well, thoughts on transgender stuff has been pretty straightforward. You know, the way that I look at it, if you, for some reason, think you're a woman and you're a man, or vice versa, that tells me right off the bat you probably got some sort of mental issues.
Yeah, of course you got mental issues.
The idea of allowing you to have a gun, that's I have a problem with that.
Where else on the whole planet could you go and say, you know what? I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and gay. Where could you go on this planet and want to cut your schlong off and be supported by a whole bunch of people? Where on this planet could you go but here? The mental illness capital of the fucking planet.
Well, you know, as we look back on this stuff, a lot of this started with Obama.
Yeah, because Obama...
Michelle Obama thing.
He was married to Michael, and everybody knew it. And the news, oh, no. Listen, that thing on Ellen DeGenerate, when he was dancing around, his schlong bigger than mine. So get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
But that's where it started, and then, of course, if Hillary had won, she would have taken it to the next level.
If Hillary had won, we wouldn't be talking right now.
No.
We would definitely not be talking right now. But, you know what? I'll tell you what. I have my own solution. A lot of people worry about... Let me show you something. Well, you can't see it now because you're on a phone. But a lot of people talk about M16s for home defense. AR-15s for home defense is insane. I'll tell you why. My 14-year-old nephew is 2 rooms away from me here. Somebody breaks in the door. From my bedroom to the front door, or to the back door for that matter, he would be in a line of fire just through a bunch of drywall. So I says, how can hollow points will go right through drywall. So what I did was, I have a double barrel, 12 gauge, black powder pistol. Double barrel. Alright, I put the tag on it. It's loaded. Got a gun safe to keep it in. And the thing with black powder is you make your own bullets. Which is not very hard to do. You just can't smoke while you're doing it. Okay? So I have a little mat, like a mouse pad, that's made out of Teflon, that nothing sticks to. So I got a box of 4-penny finish nails and left them out in the rain for a couple of days until they got really rusty. And I put them on this pad and I soaked them in super glue. And then, after they roll around in super glue, because the super glue goes into the little rust pores so that something sticks to it, I sprinkled a whole shitload of them with Carolina Reaper pepper. And after they dried, I loaded 12 of them each into a 12 gauge black powder shell. So, you come into my house, uninvited, trying to do harm to anybody in here, you're going to be hopping around a bit before you die. I ain't playing.
Getting bullet creative.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that you have protection in your house that's not going to backfire on you by going through a wall. Now these nails spin as they come, they tumble as they come out of the barrel. So unless you're like 10, 12 feet away, it's not gonna go through a drywall wall. So even if I miss or I trip over the carpet or some shit, it's not going to hurt anybody that's not in the line of fire. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you're using an AR-15, even if it's a hollow point, it's going through the wall. And whoever's on the other side is going to get hurt or killed. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want to take out your targets, just like when in training, when you're pistol training. You gotta, in a split second, it's almost muscle memory of the brain. You got to think about what your target is, if you can hit it, and what's behind it. Because even if you're using a hollow point, you might miss, and it goes past your target and goes and hits somebody else that's not your target. You own that. You own that bullet from the time it leaves the barrel until the time it hits something. You own it. So you got to be, it's not like in combat where you get a machine gun and you fire off 30 rounds a second and you hope to hit something.
One of the things I see lacking in today's world is respect for each other's opinions. And I don't care whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or something in between, but it's like, have you noticed all of a sudden, it's like you're either extremely one thing or the other, and they want us to fight. And what I would ask everybody to look into is go online, pick your favorite browser or whatever, and type in Operation Chaos plus CIA. Now that's a program that the CIA ran back in the 60s. And I think what's happening now is they've started Operation Chaos 2.0. And they're basically pitting the left against the right.
Yeah, and the blacks against the whites, and the Christians against the Muslims, and they want everybody fighting each other, so we don't have fun, so they don't get.
So we don't pay attention to them.
Yeah, so you don't realize who the real enemy is. That's them. Because I could give a shit what somebody over in Iran does. If you want to wear a burqa in 112-degree heat, to the point where the men in your country say, God damn, you stink enough to knock a buzzard off a shit wagon. Let me go have a little boy for dinner or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't give a shit what you do. That's your country. It's your lifestyle. Whatever floats your boat.
I was watching a channel called And We Know Today, which is a pretty popular channel.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to him. He's very good.
Yeah, now he did an interesting segment today on President Trump. And you probably saw it. I saw it too. You see the segment where President Trump is sitting with the guy from Facebook and
Zuckerberg? Yeah, I saw that.
And what his take on it is Trump is showing them to everybody because he's taking them down, which I think is what needs to happen, because Zuckerberg and the other one, they've been behind a lot of this takeover stuff.
Well, Zuckerberg owns a third of the farmland in the country. He's fucking around with vaccines he got no business fucking around with. He should start making Microsoft Windows work and stop fucking around with all this bullshit, killing people over in Africa with this half-ass fucking AIDS virus that he did, AIDS injections that he did years ago. And Fauci, that son of a bitch this guy needs to be taken before a Nuremberg-type trial. This guy committed atrocities that the Nazis would blush at. This unfucking believable.
Well, you look back in history, and Fauci was actually involved with a guy named Dr. Gallo. And Gallo was involved in a lot of the stuff in Africa and AIDS. So Fauci is directly linked in to the original AIDS stuff. If you look back in, some of the more secretive stuff, it's out there, but it's kind of buried.
Well, all that big pharma needs to go down, because as long as I've been, doing this, I've heard nothing but problems with all these crap and they have immunity. So They can hire some high school kids to mix some chemicals together and put it in a vaccine and put it out there, and they're immune from anybody wanting to sue them because your relative or your son or your daughter died from this shit.
Yeah,
20
I
million
think
people, 20 million people around the world, and that's a conservative estimate, died from a direct result of this shit that they started with this COVID bullshit. COVID is a fucking flu. It's nothing more than the goddamn flu that's been around for 10,000 years. And they put a new name. They put a fancy, COVID-19. Put the fucking mask on your face. When I see people walking around I walk up to them and I says, excuse me, why are you wearing on your face what belongs on a baby's ass? Because you're that fucking stupid. You gotta be a special kind of stupid to believe this bullshit. And there's still people in CVS and in Walgreens lining up to get their fucking COVID shots. It doesn't fucking
exist. I
exist.
called them and tried to warn them, but they, you saw what happened when we tried to call them one time.
Yeah, they don't care because they're immune. They're making money. Either they're knowledgeable and don't give a shit, or they're stupid and don't give a shit. So the result is still the same. The result is still the same.
From everything that I saw, okay, all that we experienced around 2019 was basically the original, what we would have called the flu that everybody gets every year. And that, for the most part, everybody would have survived it. It was the ones who actually went and got injected.
Right. And they started falling down on news broadcasts. 12, 14-year-old boys fucking just dropping dead in a basketball game. Motherfuckers falling off the train tracks and shit. Yeah.
So that's where that come from. I mean, that's one of the most under-talked about subjects I think we got right now on the internet that everybody ought to be talking about. Because you look at the list, that thing that I sent you, the leaked Pfizer report, was supposed to be held in secrecy for 75 years, but it got released. And you look at the last 10 pages of that, and look at all the things that COVID vaccination, so-called, can give you, including what's the number one on the list? Myocarditis.
Yeah. My doctor looked at that. She's a country doctor. She's not one of these, she's not pushing anything. She's the old country doctors. In fact, she still makes house calls. All right? She looked at that and she's, oh, shit, you gotta be kidding me. And they try to keep it secret for 75 years. So all the motherfuckers who are responsible for that shit would have been dead. That's the
idea behind the 75 years. Anybody who took it. And the sad thing about it is, a lot of these people, they were kind of coerced into taking it, you better do this, and the stuff that they did to all of us who didn't take it. I mean, they treated us like pariahs.
I mean, I'm glad I left Jersey when I did, because if I was still, if I would have not left when I left, some motherfucker would have come up to me and said, and got in my face with the mask bullshit. I want to fucking lay them the fuck out.
I'll tell you a funny story when all this was going on initially. This was probably back around 2019, 2020 or thereabouts. I go down to my local Publix one day just to go in and, get some food. And at this point, I didn't know half of what I know now about it. I don't think I'd seen the Pfizer report yet. But I'm on my handicapped cart and riding around, and of course, everybody in the store has got a mask on, and they're looking at me like I'm some sort of, are you crazy? That sort of thing. And I get to the one aisle, I forget what it was. I think I was getting my cat food. And I look over, here's this little Oriental, I don't know whether he was Chinese, Japanese guy, but with the full face shield on and the respirator thing on his back with a little tank of air. And he's looking at me like, I'm some dangerous thing. And I'm just sitting there, and I looked at him. I couldn't help. I just started cracking up.
The motherfucker walking around with an aqua
Yeah, I kid you not. The plastic face shield and closing the whole face. and in this like hooded thing. I mean, I'm looking at him. He looked like some out of a science fiction movie. Now, everybody else was just doing the mask deal. I was probably, out of the whole store, there was maybe 2 or 3 other people I saw in there that weren't wearing the mask.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
and then we come to find out afterwards that the mask actually doesn't stop anything. It just holds stuff in, and it gives you, diseases that you pick up from your own stuff coming out.
I mean, these people, I'll tell you what the problem is, Gary. People in this country have had it too good for too long. They've gotten to the point where they don't even think for themselves anymore. They let they back from work, if they work, they come home, they're tired, they sit down and eat dinner, they sit on a fucking couch, they get a bag of Doritos and watch a football game and memorize all the fucking stats about every fucking player, what color underwear he wore, what kind of fucking field it was, what the weather was, how the moon was, the phase of the moon, the whole fucking thing. Something that doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with anything that has to do with anything that affects his life. But he can't go and do a little bit of research, especially when he's got the whole fucking knowledge base of the planet in his fucking hand. Can't even type in to do research about exactly what the fuck he's sticking in his body. That's a special kind of stupid. It's easier to believe bullshit and be done with it than to labor after finding out the truth. That's the mentality of a lot of people, not most of the people, but it's a shrinking minority of people in this country who've got the mainstream media in their back pocket. That's all the fuck they do, is listen to the media. The media is telling you the same fucking shit. Every news station is using the same words, the same phrases, verbatim. They're not reporting, they're parroting. They're like a fucking polywanna cracker. Repeat. Beep, 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 beep. And everybody thinks that's the truth. That's the problem, Gary. People are not thinking for themselves anymore. The schools don't teach you how to critical think. When was the Magna Carta signed? They ask you in history class when I was a kid. I'm 12 years old. I don't give a fuck about the Magna Carta. And now they're teaching kids
that. The problem I had when I was growing up, the history teacher that we had was so boring. It was basically the same thing. She's telling us all sorts of things about what's going on over in Nairobi, of all places. And, most of us are sitting there looking out the window, and she's looking and saying, well, why aren't you interested in this? Well, because it's not interesting at the age that I'm at.
Yeah, I wouldn't be interested if I was 90. I mean, I was always into science and stuff like that because it made you think. My father told me, my father used to tell me, if a day goes by and you don't learn nothing, that's a wasted day that you pissed away.
It's something that I've been looking into lately, and it kind of gets into the same stuff that we're talking about. You're talking about people coming home, just popping the TV on, and then, sitting there and eating something. The situation that I'm in here, I end up eating a lot of canned goods because I don't really have a good way of cooking anything anymore. I don't feel like cooking. I just want something that's prepared. So for the most part, that's what most of my food is every month. Well, as a result of that, and with the stuff that's been going on in the world, and the stuff I see that's in some of the stuff that they're using on it, including the fluoridated water. Okay, I started, as I'm eating my stuff, my canned goods, I'm looking at the ingredients on the label. And one of the first things I noticed is now all of a sudden a lot of these canned good companies are putting no GMO liners or something used in the making of a can, or BPA liner, that's what it was. Okay? That was the liner that they were using to line the metal cans. It's like a plastic. But what's it loaded with? Estrogen.
Yeah.
Okay, and you wonder why, there's so many gay people in the world. Well, feed them some estrogen. But anyhow, I'm looking at the ingredients in this stuff. And you read about 3 lines down, and there's all sorts of stuff. You got to have a degree in chemistry to know what it is they're talking about. So what I'd suggest people do is the next time you get some canned goods or other foods, take a look at the ingredients, and if you don't know what something is, Go look it up on the internet.
Yeah,
and
but
I don't think you're going to like what you find.
No, it's they've got control of all this shit. And you look at something like the stabbing that happened in Charlotte last week, okay? On the train in Charlotte. No news agency, none of them covered it. None of them. Not a one.
Yeah, but they'll cover the guy who stabbed her, though.
They'll
what
cover
a horrible life he's having.
Yeah, they'll cover some fucking jabeep who claims he found a noose hanging from his fucking garage door. That they'll cover. But somebody getting stabbed by some motherfucker who had 24 charges before then, was in jail, in and out, in and out, in and out. I think it was 24 times. And the judge that let the son-of-a-bitch out, he's the guy who's responsible. This person was crazy. He was out of his fucking mind. He just killed somebody for no fucking reason other than, what the fuck? That's
what
why
I don't understand is why the American public isn't more upset that the borders were just open to these people. And it's not like they want to come over into the United States and become good Americans. No, they want to come here to get all the stuff that they can get.
If they wanted to come over and be good Americans, you should do what my father did. He came over and he went. In fact, when my father came over, he had to have a sponsor. Somebody would sign it. He fucks up. The sponsor's responsible. If he can't get a job, the sponsor's responsible for his upkeep. That's what they ought to do. But they don't do that no more.
You and I would be better off, coming across the border and saying we're not American citizens. We'd be getting more than we get right now when we retire.
What the fuck am I going to get a $5,000 a month fucking thing on my credit card? They ought to shut down the credit card companies that are doing this. They ought to shut them down.
Yeah.
They ought to liquidate their assets and put the money in the treasury and distribute it out to the taxpayers who paid for it. And, Trump is doing the right thing, but it's too fucking slow for my taste. The first thing he should have did in 2026 when he got inaugurated is to arrest the Hildebeest. Arrest her, Soros, Nadler, all those people. Arrest them all. Say, one day, 4 o'clock in the morning, the military, the U.S. Marshals go in there, knock your door down, put you in fucking cuffs, and send your fucking ass to CCOT where you belong. Put you in a cell.
This is where I agree with the Q thing, though, where it says, if he had done that, you're talking about 2016, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he had done that, at that point in time, a lot of people still thought Obama was great. Okay? And if you said or did anything against him, you'd have half the country up in arms against you. So I think the route that they took was a little better. They drug it out over time and then, did like the Q thing says, and that you have to see it and understand what's going on, and then you finally realize why things are as bad as they are.
Yeah, but as long as this shit's been going on, as long as we've been exposing this shit, I've been doing this shit online. I never had any interest in social media at all. From 2004 to 2015, I had Net4 Truth USA on the internet, a website. And that was over 4 gigabytes of stuff, okay? And after social media hit, the hits on the website went down. It wasn't even, viable to keep it anymore. So I switched over and went to YouTube. My first video about the tarmac meeting generated $1,800 in revenue. $1,800 from one fucking video. Now, I put the thing about Happy Birthday Soros on one of my YouTube channels that had 20,000 subscribers or some shit. Hey, it violates our terms of service. You were bullying.
Listen, if you want to see bullying, send that son of a bitch testicle-faced motherfucker down my way where I can meet him on the street. You'll see some fucking bullying for real.
Yeah, that's something that has to change. All of this stuff about them regulating what we can say. Just like I'm so sick of hearing people say, "Oh, that person, they unalived him."
Yeah,
well,
they censor themselves.
They killed him.
They censor themselves. You know, it's bad enough that you got these fucking people taking your channels down for shit that's true. Now you're gonna sit there and you're gonna say unalived and raked and all this other fucking shit. No, fuck that. I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say. And if I find you on the street, the guy who's pushing a button and taking my channel down, guess what? You're gonna have a hard day.
Well, I think that's coming in the not too distant future, but it's going to come by way of tribunals for treason.
I think Trump is trying to take this shit down a notch, especially with the Epstein thing, because if people found out exactly what the fuck Epstein was and what he was doing and who he was doing it for, that's why he don't want the shit. Not because he's on the fucking tape. Because if he was on the fucking Epstein tapes, they would have put that shit out on Front Street years ago. He's trying to take this down a notch because when people finally realize what this motherfucker was doing, who he was doing it to, and why he was doing it, and who he was doing it for, people will pick up their weapons and it will march on Washington and it will take care of business the way it should have been taken care of from the fucking get-go.
That's what why I'm wondering about this whole Ghislaine Maxwell thing. You know, he let her go from the maximum security thing where she was sentenced to go to this more or less like a college campus type of prison. And, you know, she hasn't been released yet. I'm wondering if this isn't more to aggravate the people even more so that they do exactly what you're saying.
She should be released. And I'll tell you why. Because she was convicted of trafficking children to who?
Epstein, for one.
Yeah, what? None of that ever came out. None of that was ever proven. None of it was even ever alleged. They charged her with a statute, the same thing they did to a lot of people that they want to disarm and take off the fucking social registry. They did that. They do this shit to a lot of people. In fact, women who want to get a divorce, but their husbands are reluctant to grant them the divorce because they know the bitch is gonna take half his shit. They go to their lawyer and say, "What can I do?" Well, all you can do is you coach your kid, or you go to a CPS worker, a social worker, or say some shit, and say, "I think my husband is molesting my daughter or my son or some shit." You don't have to have proof. You don't have to have proof. That's what the lawyer will tell you. You don't have to have proof. It's what the law calls a res geste utterance. It's admissible in court. And they'll charge you, if you're guilty of some little bullshit, they'll charge you with fucking Class A fucking felonies, and then you'll have you plead down because it's risk management. It has nothing to do with the truth. It's risk management. That's what they do. This shit.
All the girls, like what's her name, Virginia Giuffre, you think they were lying about this stuff?
I don't think they were lying, but that's their own words. I'm talking about allegations that are made by social workers and people in the school system that they want to transgender this guy or this girl to the other sex. And one parent is for it and one of the parents is against it. So now the parent who's against it gets charged with abuse. And that's
definitely wrong.
That's the only fucking crime in the whole. Why do you think they started all this fucking bimbo eruptions with Donald Trump? Oh, he went to a Russian motel.
They shouldn't even be bothering little kids with that stuff.
Yeah, he went to a Russian motel and 2 prostitutes pissed on him on a fucking bed that Obama slept in. Get the fuck out of here, please. Are you fucking shitting me? Are you shitting me? But you know what? A jury of your peers ain't your peers. It's Especially like in upstate New York or down in Tennessee or in Blue Ridge Mountain somewhere where you got all these motherfuckers fucking their sisters and shit. He'll sit on a jury and says, yeah, of course, I believe he did it because, shit, I did it to my own cousin or sister or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? And besides, I'd rather be home watching Jerry Springer than sitting here getting $3 a day.
It's just we're living in, like I said, some really strange times, and you just got to play it by ear every day, and
the justice system in this country is a fucking joke. It feeds the prison industrial complex, and I put that out on Front Street with that Groveland thing, where they had veterans incarcerated for 18 months in a program, and 18 months wasn't worth a shit. And they refused medical attention for a guy who was suffering from hepatitis C because he was a paramedic in Vietnam and had blood all over him every fucking day, treating a wounded out in a fucking field. And they claimed he was a drug addict and wanted him to take a 18-month drug program before he was treated. And I got involved with that case because I couldn't fucking see somebody being denied medical attention because he didn't finish some fucking program. So I talked to his lawyer, and I wrote the amicus brief to the court. His lawyer said, quote, the treatment of my client violates the Geneva Convention 3 for the treatment of enemy prisoners of war, end quote. The guy went home in December 2001, probably for his last Christmas, because his viral load was 1 million. And you think these fucking people gave a shit? They didn't give a fuck. All they wanted was that $80,000 they were getting for his body in that fucking program for 18 months. That's what they wanted.
Well, apparently that's not the only way they're getting money, because I was listening to this guy talking about when he was thrown in prison, and they said, or what he said was, even if they wanted simple food, I think he was talking about a jar of peanut butter that in prison you had to pay like $15 to $20.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what they're doing. They're marking up. If you want anything over and above what they're going to feed you, which is basically, what is it you call it, the stale hot dogs and that stuff, and you want to buy something, they're going to overcharge you so much. It's ridiculous.
A crackhead soup that you could get a case of in Dollar General for $2, they'll charge you $2 a piece for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all, I mean, basically everything we're seeing is a money-making scheme for the ones at the top.
Yeah, and the phone calls, if you want to call somebody from jail, they'll charge the person you're calling $3-4 a minute.
Yeah, that was the guy I was telling you about, Ernie Shell, when they had him thrown in jail for, supposedly doing something I don't think he did. But that's he was talking about that, all the stuff that he went through when he was in jail and just trying to get simple foods and decent treatment, and
And look at that guy who from I forget the name of the thing that he ran, but he had a little credit card with the shape of some kind of a link to put in an AR-15 to make the force reset trigger or some shit. He's still in jail. He's got cancer. They won't let him out.
Well, that and the way that the medical treatment, from what I understand, that was the other big issue. That you got any sort of sickness in jail, you better just kiss your ass goodbye because you're going to die.
I mean, these people are running a scam, the likes of which is incredible. 90% of the people in jail don't belong in jail. There's some people in prison that belong there, because they're irreconcilably criminal. You can't fix those. Those
like
people
the guy
down
who stabbed the guy in the neck. I mean, there's one that should probably be in jail.
Yeah, and all those fucking people that are MS-13 and Trendy Araqua and all those other fucking Barrio 18s, they got tattoos all over their face. And all. You can't rehabilitate that. They get those tattoos and that shit, they earn that shit. They don't just give out fucking tattoos. They earn that shit by killing people and by being fucking terrorists. You're gonna reform that? I don't think so. The best thing they could do with those people is to feed them into a fucking wood chipper. That's what they do with those fucking people. I wouldn't lock them up and waste my people's taxpayer money to feed these motherfuckers. Fucking, and I 100%, 100,000% support helicopters and fucking shit around Venezuela that this motherfucker better step the fuck down and turn himself in. Or we're going to come and get you. You're going to come get you. So it's inevitable. You got a $50 million bounty on your head. Somebody is going to take you the fuck out. If I knew where to find you, I'd go get you for $50 million and I'd bring back your fucking ear. And they could test the DNA out of that shit and make sure that was you that I fucking whacked.
The stories I'm hearing about Venezuela is everybody who can carry a gun is being issued a gun. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting to watch how it turns out.
Yeah, and then when they drop the fucking bomb on these motherfuckers and they kill 100,000 civilians, they say, oh, the fucking Trump did the fucking... Listen, man, you pick up a weapon. I don't give a shit if you're 97 years old in a fucking wheelchair. You point a gun at me, I'm going to air you the fuck out. I'm going to light you the fuck up. You'd be like a fucking 4th of July and a Christmas tree all put in one.
I'm actually more for just doing what Trump was originally doing and build the wall and keep them out and keep the drugs out. You know, if they want to do that kind of shit in their country, be my guest.
They just found a tunnel 600 feet below the fucking ground down in between, I think, Juarez and El Paso or some shit.
Yeah, something where they could actually drive cars through it, I heard.
Yeah, you know what I would do? I tell you what I would do. I would put seismometers and shit to measure the vibrations. Anybody even walking in that motherfucker, I'd know about it. And when they start rolling those cars in, those fucking things on railroad tracks to bring the drugs across the border, I'd wait till that whole fucking thing was full, and I'd drop that fucking Israeli fucking suck bomb down in that fucking thing, and I'd fucking suck all the oxygen out, burn them the fuck up, and cement them all fucking in that tunnel together. So the archaeologists 2,000 fucking years from now dig that shit up and find their dead motherfucking burnt asses under the ground. That's what I would do.
Well, we need to do something about especially the fentanyl coming into the country.
Well, now there's a real war on drugs. It started the DARE program, a war on drugs. There's no war on drugs. You know what's a war on drugs? I'll tell you what the war on drugs is. You as a parent, as a law-abiding citizen, who just want to be left the fuck alone, sees a drug dealer on the street, walks up to him and smashes his fucking skull in with a baseball bat. That's fucking war. When they can't walk the street anymore...
The schools aren't teaching them the things they ought to be teaching them.
When these sons of bitches can't walk the street without getting murdered, that's when it'll stop. Just like in El Salvador. El Salvador is more safe now than any time in history. Why? Because they lock the fuckers up. All the fuckers with the tattoos, you don't need a trial. You got the tattoos on your face proving what the fuck you did. So what the fuck do I need to spend my money and my time and my resources to try you, to prove to me what is self-evident? Fuck you.
Well, I think the death penalty should be used a lot more than it is on people like that. Because, you know, do you really want to keep them around and pay to keep them in jail? I don't.
I don't want to. I mean, it's better that if you're an illegal alien selling drugs and doing crimes in this country, send your ass down to El Salvador. Because it's cheaper than to send you up to fucking Attica.
Yeah, but they're still going to keep them alive. That's the problem.
You know what? Sometimes it's better to keep them alive. Because it teaches the sons of bitches that are still out there that, hey, if I continue this shit, I might end up there. And the people who are doing this shit got no choice because they're already marked up. They already committed themselves to this lifestyle. They already committed themselves to be terrorists. The same fucking way that these fucking politicians or all these world leaders go out to Bohemian Grove every year and do the cremation of care ceremony. And the cremation of care is what the Bible calls blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. There's no coming back from that. That sin cannot be forgiven. When you do that, you are signing your soul to the devil. The devil fucking owns you. He fucking owns you.
Well, that's the thing, Dave. I think a lot of these people basically have signed up with Lucifer or Satan, whichever name you want to use. But that's basically, they've just decided that that's the way they're going to go, and I think we need to accept that. As much as we don't agree with it or like it, you just kind of have to realize there's only two kinds of people on the earth, good and evil.
Yeah, and accepting it is not the problem, I don't think, Gary. It's realizing that it even exists. Because these people have no fucking clue that this shit even exists. And if you
that's it right there. Most of the people, you tell them this stuff, and you talk about the Bible. Like I posted something, I think it was yesterday, about these two, I think they're actually either two transsexual women or two gay women or whatever, a couple, on YouTube. And they're talking about this kind of stuff and making, like it's normal, and everything Trump's doing is bad. And it's just, like there's nothing wrong with this stuff. And I don't know. You hear this stuff, and then you kind of realize why we're in the shape that we're in. Because these people are putting their thoughts out there, their narrative, if you will. And there's people out there who are stupid enough to believe them.
Well, it's like anything else, they get paid to do this shit. You think that people are out there on a Wednesday afternoon protesting this shit? They don't have a job. They're getting paid by Soros. This testicle-faced motherfucker is paying them through these organizations. They got ads out on social media. What do you call it? Professional protesters, or whatever the fuck they call them. Situation actors.
Well,
they get paid to do this shit. That's what these two were. And now I remember what it was I was going to say. They were referring to the Bible and how, nobody should listen to the Bible. They called it's an Iron Age book that everybody follows. Well, to that I say, well, is it right or wrong what it's saying? Iron Age book or not, it's still telling you stuff that's the truth. Well, the truth doesn't change because you got technology. The truth should be more self-evident because you've got technology instead of less. And the mainstream media is complicit in all this shit. They're traitors. They're traitors to our way of life, and they should be taken out of the what do you call it? Of the thing. And then you say, well, then you're suppressing speech. No, I'm not suppressing speech. That shit is not speech. That's fucking parroting bullshit. That's using your monopoly of the airwaves to parrot bullshit that everybody in your profession is doing. Everywhere. Even the BBC. 9/11, example. Jane Stanley was here on 9/11. What the fuck was she doing here? She had to been here the day before. Because the day of 9/11, all air traffic was grounded except for one plane to take Osama bin Laden's family back to fucking wherever the fuck they came from. Alright? So she was sent here at least the day before with a script. And on live TV with Building 7 over her left shoulder said that Building 7 collapsed 25 minutes before it actually fell. Now, either one of two things is true. Either she's the daughter of the great Karnak and she can give you the answer before you ask the question, or she's reading from a script. And I go for option number 2. She's reading from a script because the guy over at the BBC across the pond said, "What can you tell us, Jane?" And she replies, "Well, nothing that you don't already know." End quote. Because you're reading from the same fucking paper, the same teleprompter that I'm reading from. And no emotion, no fucking just straight up fact. Building 7 fell. There it is, motherfuckers, behind your goddamn shoulder. You're reading from a script. It should lock you the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I heard today Tucker Carlson evidently is going to be doing a special, several shows on the whole 9/11 thing. You ought to send him a copy of your video with that exact segment in it, and also the thing where you're showing the plane wing disappearing into the building.
Yeah, I worked on Wall Street 15 years. And when you see that plane hit the South Tower, the left wing of the plane goes behind the U.S. Trust building that's a quarter of a mile down Wall Street. That was CGI.
Yeah, so it's
and
hologram images.
Yeah, they're all holograms. You got a guy in a helicopter with a camera taking a picture. He's doing this shit. And then you got the other guy in the studio with the CGI. It had to be delayed because that couldn't have been live. Okay? So he's feeding the guy in the studio with the CGI, the video, the raw video of the Trade Center. And the guy in the studio is CGIing in a plane. And in the CGI, he's got what the editing software calls a mask. You take you got a building standing here, and you got this mask on the left side of the building.
Green screen or chroma key.
Right. So as the image is bouncing, this CGI is coming in, and it goes. The mask moves to the left, and the building's still here. So now the plane that he's editing into the video goes through the building, causes the explosion, supposedly, and then comes out the other side with the nose intact. That's bullshit, because if a fucking sparrow hits a fucking nose of a plane that's taken off at 200 miles an hour, they turn around and they land that plane. Why? Because the nose of the plane has all the avionics and the radar and all that other shit. And it ain't metal, it's fiberglass. And the people jumping out of the...
in that video, I'll tell you, because I don't know what... You and only a few other people are the only ones I ever heard mention that stuff. And I didn't realize until I looked at it.
And not only that, the people that jumped out of the building. Why would you jump out of a fucking 80-story fucking window? Tell me why. I'll tell you why. Because the thermite they used to melt the beams was flowing across the concrete floor right at them. So you have a choice. You can melt from the feet up because you can't stand on the furniture. The furniture's melting. The furniture, the fucking desks is melting into the fucking lava flow that's coming across the floor at you. So jump out the fucking window. That's the only choice you got.
I think when 9/11 finally comes out in its true entirety, I think that's going to make a big difference to this country. I really do. They're going to realize how evil these people were.
I don't know how many people the government employs, the federal government, but it's astronomical. It's astronomical. You don't need all these fucking people.
Well, that's what Trump's doing and Elon Musk was doing, trying to weed the wheat from the chaff.
Well, they cut the funding from USAID, and that's like cutting the left nut off. All right, but they still got money from all these other people who have been in this shit and funneling money into this shit for years and years and years. Yeah, they talk about January 6th. Do you know what the January 6th was? November 22nd, 1963, when they killed John F. Kennedy in front of God and everybody and blamed some poor fucking schlub who had nothing to fucking do with it. That was the coup d'etat. That was the culmination of a thing that was 30 years old at the time. The plot to seize the White House, where corporate America wanted to take over the government. And if it wasn't for a guy named General Smedley Butler, who I never fucking heard of since until 2004, when my friend Arthur Bernklau, who's now passed on, bought a copy of this book, The Plot to Seize the White House by Jules Archer. Came in a plastic fucking thing, was first edition. You know, he paid like $300 for this book. He opened it up and said, "You gotta read this shit." And when I read it, I couldn't fucking believe it. What?
That's something somebody ought to read it and put it on YouTube.
Nobody ever fucking... I had it on my website, but then the lawyers for the family who owned the copyright, and then the copyright expired and the guy died, they renewed the copyright. So I says, okay, I'll take it off. But I'm still promoting it because I wasn't making money on it. It was on the website.
I never heard about it till you mentioned it.
Yeah. So they wanted to take over the U.S. government. In fact, they plotted to kill Roosevelt if he didn't go along.
I still wonder if Roosevelt wasn't actually killed because he died under some really weird circumstances.
Well, General Patton was assassinated.
Yeah.
He fought the war. He had fucking bullets, bombs, shit flying all over the fucking place. He comes back and he's killed in a fucking Jeep accident? Get the fuck out.
And do you know that's still classified, the stuff around Patton?
Yeah. Yeah. Why would you classify a fucking traffic accident? Because you're behind this shit and you've been doing this shit since forever. Since before I was born. Since before you were born. Since before anybody on this fucking...
in after Roosevelt.
Since before anybody listening to this video was born, Gary. Since anybody was listening to this video was ever born, this shit was going on.
Yeah.
And in fact, this has been going on.
Truman was not a good guy from everything that I've heard. The stuff, he was basically a puppet of the elite.
And I think that this shit's been going on since the founding. Since the founding. I think, what they taught us in school, the British wore red uniforms and they marched in a straight line. Hey, listen, man, I'm no fucking Einstein, but if I'm in the military and you tell me wear a red coat and march in a straight line, I'm going to tell you go fuck yourself. I don't think we won the Revolutionary War. I think a deal was made between Washington and England still owns us, like kind of under the table, and we're living this fucking illusion that we're a fucking free country and democratic republic and all this bullshit, and it's all bullshit.
I think Eisenhower gave us a heads up with the, beware the military-industrial complex, because that's probably where most of it's coming from.
Yeah, they make money making bombs. You can make so many bombs, but then you got all these fucking bombs laying around. What the fuck are you going to do with them? You got to use them, because if you don't use them, you can't make more. You can't justify making more if you got more fucking bombs than you know what to fucking do with to begin with. So you go and kill people, use all these fucking bombs, and you say, hey, listen, we need more fucking bombs. Now we got these new bombs. You got this new shit. You talk about psychopaths. You talk about psychopaths. The psychopaths that bring those fucking nuclear weapons, those are the fucking psychopaths. They're worse than psychopaths. I don't even know what to fucking call these people.
Well, hopefully by waking people up, I hope that's what we're doing. Once everybody's awake, it's going to be really hard to keep doing this stuff and people not seeing it. I think people are starting to see it right now with the stuff, going on over in the Middle East.
Well, what's going on in the Middle East, they brought upon themselves. They brought it upon themselves because, especially the Muslims, I said, the Muslims are peaceful religion. Yeah? Really? I mean, they throw people off of buildings. If you're gay over there, and that's another thing. All these fucking people are talking about they're gay for fucking for Lebanon and for Gaza. Go to Gaza and be gay over there. Wear your fucking purple hat and your fucking earrings and your fucking things in your ears over there. They'll throw you off a fucking building, you dumb motherfucker.
The biggest problem I have right now with what's going on over in the Middle East is, first of all, Israel, what they just did recently with bombing the church and almost killing the pastor. I know several people were killed. But that, and then the other thing is, okay, you got these Muslims coming across basically just wanting something to eat or wanting water. And them, starving children, no matter how you look at it, is not a good thing. Even if they're your enemy, I can't, say that that's a good thing to do, starving someone's children. It's not going to make you any friends.
Well, not to justify it or anything, but when you're the enemy and you use your own civilians for cover, you bring that upon your own people.
Oh, granted, they're all doing stuff both sides are doing stuff they shouldn't be doing.
See, this is
I mean,
not.
in a civilized world, so-called.
You can only get so precise, okay? If somebody's holding a kid hostage and he's using them as a shield, all right? If I'm good enough with my weapon, I can point that fucking thing and take his fucking head off, and he'll drop that kid one way or the other. But if you're in a building and you're surrounding yourself with civilians, and the civilians don't even know what the fuck that you're even there or that you're even a terrorist, but your enemy knows, and he wants to get to you, he's going to get to you. And the dead civilians is not on me, it's on you. You're the one using the civilians as a shield.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is there's got to be some end to this stuff, because this has been going on since 1948. They've been doing this stuff back and forth.
Well,
And
the thing that the U.S. did with that fucking Holly Bobby, what fucking Bin fucking what's his name, that they got him in his car. He's driving along the street in his car, and all of a sudden this missile comes out of the air with the fucking ninja with the fucking blades, with the samurai sword shit, and cuts this motherfucker right in half. Who goes right into the driver's side, go whoop, that's it, you're done. You're fucking mincemeat. You're like a fucking filet mignon. Pew, done.
yeah, the thing is, don't do it to whole entire populations. I mean, I don't have a problem with them taking out a troublemaker, but
Yeah, when they're launching missiles off the roof of a fucking hospital, what are you supposed to do? What the fuck are you supposed to do? You take out the missile battery, you're going to take out a bunch of people. It's collateral damage. You're the ones who are firing the missiles. We ain't firing them. We ain't fucking firing missiles at you just for shits and giggles. You're firing them at us, and you're killing our people, and I'm not supposed to kill your people? Fuck you. That's, there's war crimes, and then there's justified, retaliation. And these people over there in Gaza, they're haven't got a fucking clue, because they think they're getting murdered by Israel. And that's the propaganda that they're feeding them. Yeah, Israel's murdering.
well, Hamas is no friend to the Arab, I'll tell you that. From the stuff I'm hearing, they're the ones who are behind most of the stuff going on.
Yeah, that's
and then Israel just treats all the Arabs like they're Hamas.
Well, it's like over in Vietnam. They used to give a little kid a backpack full of fucking explosives. And the kid runs towards you, and you know what the kid's got. And if he reaches you, you and your whole fucking platoon is dead. So what do? You let the kid come, give him a fucking chocolate, let him blow you the fuck up? You got no choice. You got no choice. And that's sad. That's sad as shit.
That's where I would think, now that's a point, that you're mentioning. It's too bad that there wasn't more use of what they call the non-lethal weapons. I mean, you see a kid like that come and knock him down from, 50 feet away with...
That's not easy to do in a war zone. The best fucking thing was that exploding beeper thing that the Israeli did. That was fucking genius. That was genius. There's a story on YouTube about exactly how they got that done. The manufacturer didn't even know that they were doing it. They were putting fucking explosives in the batteries. And then all of a sudden, it's like that movie, Law Abiding Citizen, where the judge picks up the phone. Hello? I love that. That's perfect. Perfect. Now they're using fucking carrier pigeons to communicate, because they don't trust any technology. They don't trust beepers. They don't trust walkie-talkies. They don't trust telephones. They don't trust nothing. Fuck them. They want to live in the fucking Stone Age, believing that bullshit Allah and all that other fucking shit, the fucking pedophile prophet that no self-respecting Muslim would ever deny, that Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl and consummated the marriage at 9. What do you call that?
That in itself is something I think everybody needs to take a look at, especially Muslims.
And Muslims are still doing it. They're still marrying children, girl children over there.
Well, apparently in that neck of the woods on both sides, it's you see this stuff going on. What was the one guy who was just over here in America, some big wig from Israel? and the cops nailed him for pedophilia. What did he do? Go running back to Israel because
Right,
Israel won't extradite. So that's that whole pedophilia thing
Well,
is common
even-
on both sides.
Even Israel is guilty of that shit.
Yeah.
Even Israel is guilty. Well, in fact, there's a bunch of YouTube videos that came out just recently over the last 3 or 4 months that talk about the Greek civilizations, the Ottomans, the Romans. They all the whole fucking, not only not undercover like over here, but this shit was out in the open. They had
I
fucking,
said that for a long time. This stuff goes back into the, before Christ times, the stuff that we're talking about.
yeah, but the Romans and the Ottomans had currency that was specifically designed as payment for sex with children. I don't know how to even say that properly. But the whole economy was that. Well, practically the whole economy. And Nero castrated I think it's an 11-year-old boy and made him his dead wife. Made him take the place of his dead wife. That's some fucking sick shit, Jack.
That's what I was just going to say. That's some pretty sick shit. I mean, that shows you, man. It's just like I said, good versus evil. How are you going to paint good on something like that in any way, shape, or form?
You can't. You can't justify it. And any way you try to fix it, they're going to call you out. They're going to call you a fucking racist, a homophobe,
Nazi.
this, that, a Nazi.
The term nowadays is
This,
you're
that,
a
and
Nazi.
fucking thing. Listen, most sane people in the United States just want to be left the fuck alone. Let me live my life. Let me take care of my family. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah,
The minute
that's
you-
basically how I feel.
The minute you cross the line and endanger the safety or the lives of my family, I am going to go full hog fucking murder motherfucker on you. You are not going to survive. I am not going to deter you. I'm not going to stop you. I am going to fucking kill you. And I'm going to fucking take the first shot at your fucking head, the next shot at your fucking dick, and the rest of the magazine is going to go full metal jacket in your torso, in your center asshole. You are not going to leave my house alive if you come here and threaten or hurt my family. You are not going to leave alive.
So how do you think this new gun bill we were talking about is going to come out? You said about another month. And then you will be able to basically go anywhere and buy yourself a gun without all the hassle.
Yeah, well, it's still talking about licenses and all this other shit. Listen, Haas, I don't need a license to defend myself. I got attorneys on retainer, and I put a body cam on everywhere I go. And if I got to air some motherfucker out, it's going to be justified and it's going to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. You come at me with a knife, I'm going to air you out. You come at me with a gun, I'm going to air you the fuck out. That's all. That's the way it is. I'm 74 years old. I survived Vietnam. I survived being a water of fucking state of New York for a couple of years. I ain't playing. I'm not playing. I shut down a fucking multi-billion-dollar program in 2000 in a jail. I shut down a $9 million Medicaid fraud program in New York City in 2006. I'm a lot fucking smarter and a lot more fucking conniving than you think. And if you think you're going to get away with doing shit to me anymore, you got another thing coming. Because I might live another 5 years, 10 years, who knows. But I'm not going to live as anybody's victim. And I'm sure
I think what Robert F. Kennedy is doing is great because he's basically saying the same things you're saying about the autism and stuff.
Yeah, one out of 11 kids has got autism? What the fuck?
I mean, that shows you right there the stuff that they're putting in things and telling you to do and eat and stuff is, and the vaccine, we got a major problem.
They got all this money, and they can't do anything good with it. That's what, that's what fucking baffles the shit out of me. The fucking Mega Million was $1.7 billion the other day. If I would have won that shit, you would have never fucking heard from me again. I would have just gone out and did good things for people until the day I died.
You know what amazes me? One of the most obvious things, and I can't understand, this is something people could easily check on. Okay, what have they been putting in our water for decades? Fluoride. Okay? Fluoride was used by the Nazis in the concentration camps because it keeps people passive and they don't need more guards.
Right.
That doesn't take you a lot of research to find that out and look it up. So why is the average citizen standing at home and, turning on their faucet and drinking fluoridated water? And then I come to find out, go look at some of your bottled water in the supermarket. Unless it's distilled water, some of that water, they've added fluoride.
Yeah. That bottled water is worse than water out of the faucet. Because it's got...
Well, some of it, the plastic taste from the damn container.
Yeah, it tastes like... I got 4... I took 2 food-grade 5-gallon buckets. And to the cover of one, I put a thing to fill it. And on the bottom, the bottom of the other one, I put 4 like Berkey type cylinder water filters. They're about 9-10 inches long and about 1.5 inches in diameter. And I just fill that shit with the garden hose. It's out in the shed. It's out on the back deck. And when I want to make coffee or something, I don't drink the shit out of the faucet. Who the fuck knows what's in there? I take it from that, and I put that MMS shit in there.
Yeah, that'll kill everything.
So, maybe that's why I'm so goddamn ornery, because I don't drink that fluoride shit. I don't drink water.
Passive.
I don't drink water. I haven't drunk water in 20 years. All I drink is coffee, and I might have a can of Coke once in a while. But I
used to drink coffee, but I kind of laid off, not really by choice, but just because I didn't have any for a while.
I got my 16-ounce quadruple fucking latte right here with espresso, Bustelo. I got a case of it. I bought a case of it on Amazon.
I drink about 2 gallons of water a day, is from what I figure.
No, I don't drink water at all. I don't drink water at all. Listen, Gary, I'm going to pause this for a minute. And I'm going to go out and make me another cup of coffee and roll me some smokes. And you want me to call you back, or you
I don't know. Is there really much more to talk about, or?
I don't know. I just got disgusted when they killed that fucking piece of shit. Killed that girl from Ukraine on the train in Charlotte. That just disgusts the shit out of me.
Well, I mean, hopefully they'll do to him what needs to be done.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. When that fucking guy hits the fucking jail, I'm going to write to every inmate on his fucking block, and I'm going to offer to anybody a fucking $100 to whack this motherfucker. Just fuck him up. Take a lock, put it in his socket, just whap him upside the head with it.
You got to be careful with that kind of stuff, though, Dave. Then they'll come after you.
Let them come. I don't give a fuck. Justice has got to be served one way or another, Gary, and they're leaving us no other choice. They're leaving us.
I think it's coming, though. I really do. Watching the stuff that I've been watching, and I mean, yeah, I've got some doubts here and there about different things, but that's to be expected because we don't know, for sure what the future holds. But I see things turning in a better direction from, the stuff that I see people talking about. And people are listening to these people and not making fun of them anymore. Like I said, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. There's people out there trying to make fun of them and saying, oh, they're anti-Semitic. That's usually the main go-to, no matter what they're anti-Semitic. Because that, everybody, we've been taught that that's a bad thing. But from what I see, it's waking people up.
Yeah, well, for one
Maybe
thing,
not as quick as we would like, but
for one thing, Gary, it is going in the right direction. But you know, I'm not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to enjoy it for as long as we should have.
it took thousands of years to get this way, and you know, you can't. What is it they say? You can't fix Rome in a day.
But you know what, Gary? It's going to go full circle again, because when the people got it too good for too long, they start having thoughts of cutting their fucking schlons off. Huh?
That boils down to the whole education system. When we stop teaching people about the things that we should have been teaching about them, not, you know, how many, you know, cutting off your dick or something else, you know, when we actually taught kids the stuff that they should know, we didn't have these problems. And then, I mean, as I see it, most of the problems we're having today started in the 1960s.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Well,
and if we hadn't started, you know, screwing around with the school system and the church, that was the other thing, the school and the church, they got them both ways where kids would have learned morals. That's basically what it is, learning your morals. That's when it started going downhill, but unfortunately it happened over such a long period of time, you know, the 60s, the 90s, 30 years, to where we are now, another 10, 20 years. It happened so slowly, people didn't realize what was going on.
Yep. Well, it's like anything else, Gary. You got to fight for every little drop of freedom you got. And
yeah, but hopefully by you and I waking them up, or at least trying to, you know, at least some of them will see it. Not everyone. I don't expect everybody to jump on board with what we're saying. But
yeah, I don't want to be famous. I'm just a fucking spoke in the wheel.
Yeah, that's basically. I don't look at myself.
I'm happy just being a spoke in the wheel, because you know, much more than that, I can't do.
Yeah, I don't see myself as anything special. Consider me a commentator on history.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to give me a title or something.
I'm not looking for never looking for money. Didn't start this for the money. I don't need your fucking money.
This whole thing has cost me money. You know,
I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable between my pension and my Social Security. It's Christmas every day here. I don't need this. I don't need your fucking. I don't need to live in a fucking mansion. I don't need the fucking lotto. Although it would be nice.
I got everything I need. Basically,
I got everything I need. I got my family here. I got my nephew here. I got both my nephews here. I don't. The
only thing I don't have is peace of mind, because I see all this stuff going on, and then I worry. Well, what is it going to be like after I'm gone? Is anybody still going to be talking about this stuff, or what?
All I'm worried about is leaving this place a lot better than when I found it.
Amen.
And if I can get these people to realize what the fuck is going on, people who have more influence, more power, and more oomph than I have will make a change. Yep. And that change has got to start with doing away with this deep state bullshit.
Remember what I said about contacting Tucker Carlson about that video that you did with the, the building, and then also the plane and the wings and stuff. You really ought to get him a copy of that, because I don't know that I've never heard him talk about that, but he's talked about some of the other stuff. Maybe these people don't even realize it yet.
Well, that was a war crime, and the biggest crime that's committed today is human trafficking and drugs. Because more people are killed every year in drug overdoses on fentanyl than twice the Vietnam War. 58,157 men and women of our side died in Vietnam, and over 2 million Vietnamese. And
you know what has to go into that equation, though, too, though? What is happening in this country that's causing people to even want drugs? That issue has to be addressed. Why? Because, I mean, I grew up in the 1960s. You didn't see everybody and his brother out there doing drugs.
Well, the drug problem, I think, stems from being bored and having nothing constructive or meaningful to do.
Yeah.
You're a fucking automaton tied to your fucking video games and your mainstream media news.
And what does that go right back to? Like I said, the school system and what they're teaching people. And,
right.
you know.
And these people who come away from the school system, they have nothing. They have nothing of value to contribute to society, and feeling worthless and feeling useless is the worst fucking thing you could do. It's the worst position you could be in, is feeling useless, helpless, and worthless. And that's why people take drugs, to get away from that feeling, I think.
That's one thing I never got into. The only thing I ever got into when I was young for a short time, was alcohol. And that didn't last. By the time I was about 22, I was over my alcohol phase.
No, I never got, you would never see me drunk in my whole fucking life. You never saw me drunk. I never drinking this, I used to drink
you never
Lowenbrow.
would have seen me doing the same thing, but with drugs. I just did it with the alcohol.
Yeah, I used to drink Lowenbrow once in a while, but since they went from making it in Holland and they moved the plant to Brooklyn, it tastes like fucking piss. I fuck this shit on the first.
Now, what about Budweiser, Dave? Budweiser Light.
Bud Light. I never fuck with none of that shit. To me, it's just, and marijuana today used to be in the old days. When I was a nun, they had this fucking pot. You smell it. You walk in the room, somebody smoking it. About 2 minutes later, where the fuck is the Doritos? Give me something to eat. I'm hungry. Now today, with this fucking shit they're smoking now, it smells. You walk into a room and you, oh man, the dog shit in the room or something. Smells like wet dog shit in the rain on a hot summer day. And you're putting that shit in your mouth and smoking it, you're out of your fucking mind. I don't fuck with that shit.
I was never a pot aficionado.
I like the smell of it.
I tried it a couple times. To be honest with you, I tried it a couple times when I was young. It did absolutely nothing for me. That's why I stuck with the alcohol.
Yeah, I like the smell of it. The real shit. Not that fucking garbage they got today. Not that fucking hydroponic, fucking growing upside down bullshit. That's bullshit. And they spray it with fucking who knows what. But back in the old days when you used to get the big fucking buds with all the seeds in them, you burn that shit. Oh man, that's fucking good shit. You get a little buzz off it, then you get hungry.
I tell you a funny story. When I was a kid, and still going back and forth between that stuff. This one day, the kid got some pot, and I asked him. I says, "Can I have some of the seeds out of that?" So he gives me the seeds. And my mother was big into plants. She had her apartment was loaded with hanging plants all over the place. So I brought the seeds home, and I started one of the little pot seeds in a pot in my apartment. And she comes down there and she says, "Oh, what a pretty plant. It's got such pretty leaves." I says, "You want it? I'll let you have it." But I didn't tell her what it was. So my mother takes it up there, and she's got this pot plant hanging in the window.
Oh, shit.
And I come home the one day, I says, "Hey, Ma, you might not want to put that plant where you got it." And then I told her what it was, but she still, it does. It has a very pretty leaf.
Oh, my God.
That's
all right,
a true
Gary.
story.
All right, well, let's cut this short because I think we covered most of what's important. So
yeah, just edit it together or leave the part in, and then we'll get together another time. But I think we covered some good stuff today.
All right, my friend.
Let's hope for the best, but expect the worst and stay prepared.
Yeah, and remember, folks, evil doesn't need a reason. All it requires is opportunity.
And remember too, good versus evil. Pick a side.
Right. Take care, Gary.
And I'll see you later, Dave. Bye.
Ever since the Great Awakening, thousands of content creators like myself have been burning the midnight oil well into the wee hours of the morning, and millions of us who are awake are not getting enough sleep. Everyone knows that a good night's sleep is essential for efficient functioning of the cognitive processes that enable a person to discern truth from fiction and deep state-induced woke dementia. Well, years before I was asked to be an advertiser for MyPillow, I have been using their products. The first product I used was, of course, the pillows. I was impressed with the comfort, and I was able to fall off to sleep almost immediately rather than having to fight a bag of foam and trying to get comfortable. The pillowcases and Giza sheets are absolutely the bee's knees, and I have sets for the 2 beds I have in my home. Another thing is their body pillow. I suffer from a lumbar spine injury that is exacerbated by my preference to sleep on my side. Having the body pillow to roll onto alleviates the pressure and mitigates the discomfort, allowing me to fall asleep quickly. Mike Lindell, a great American patriot, has an entire line of quality products that everyone should try. Once you sleep with the pillows and sheets, you'll throw the ones you have in the garbage or donate them to Goodwill. If you go to www.mypillow.com, there is a link in the description. As a viewer and subscriber to this channel, you can buy anything in the store for 66% off. That's 1/3 of the retail price. Just fill your shopping cart and use promo code N4T at the checkout. Take it from me, folks, I've been using Mike Lindell's products since 2015. There is nothing like them on the market, and I say this with 71 years of sleeping experience. Don't forget, use promo code N4T at checkout.